What is up, everybody? This is Ian or Cerberus, and I just got back from shooting off some major fireworks. It is Sunday, or no, wait, Monday. My apologies. It is Monday after 4th of July night, and I don't know, I am so tired, but I have a giant cup of coffee sitting right next to me, and I am here to talk. But I wanted to talk about something totally random that I don't know why my mind came up with this, but I wanted to talk about the 90s. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, and the 90s were kind of awesome. Now, I know a lot of people out there are totally going to agree with me, but for the others who disagree with me and want to turn off this video already, I urge you to please stay because I just want to bring up a few points to back up that statement. Now, I think one of the major reasons that the 90s appeared to be so awesome, now keep in mind that I am 17 and I was born in 93, and so I did not see a lot of the 90s. I was like 6 years old once the new millennium came around and the 90s was over, but the reason I think that the 90s were so awesome is because you just got over the 80s. Now, the 80s were just, stick with me, horrible. Like, okay, I think the only thing that came out of the 80s that was good would probably be punk. Now, punk, as in like original, like not very musically inclined, talented punk, became better in the 90s even with pop punk. Like, music-wise, pop punk was way better in the 90s. Like, you got Blink-182 and like Sum 41 and I don't know. I don't know a lot of punk music, but I am somewhat of a fan of all the popular stuff. Not that big into it, but you know, all the music in the 90s was awesome. Like, ska came out of the 90s. Come on, you have to love ska. If you don't know what ska is, look it up. It's like rock plus horns. It's amazing. And like all the alternative music that we listen to today without getting to sound like a total douchebag, like quoting things like Nirvana, I'm just gonna say that all music is awesome. Now, movies, okay, even if it's not out of the 90s era, any 90s movie based around that like teenage 90s scene, I totally love as a teenager. Like, I think I really should have been born like 10 years earlier. Then I would just have been so happy. Like, I was watching Empire Records the other day, if you guys haven't seen it. I feel like I belong in that movie. I really do. If you guys don't know what I'm like and want to know more, that's what I'm like. Picture me as the grunge guy in Empire Records. Although I am not that cool, picture me as him. Okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go rent it. Now, I even like the really stupid movies from the 90s, like Biodome with Pauly Shore, if you've ever seen that. Like, that is the stupidest movie ever, but totally hilarious. Like, I have bad taste in movies, don't get me wrong, but it's good. Like, Biodome, I could not stop laughing the first time I saw it. And, like, SLC Punk, Matthew Lillard, I wish I could be Matthew Lillard in that movie. Like, I know I'm just saying that I want to be all these people, but come on. And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Now, the second one, Bogus Adventure, not that good, but the first one, awesome. Who does not want to be Keanu Reeves in that movie? Who doesn't want a time machine, right? And even, like, okay, although I don't want to be anybody in this movie, Jay and Silent Bob was actually not a bad series. I know the humor's just, like, really stupid, but that's kind of my taste, and I like it. I like stupid jokes. Now, away from movies, clothing, I think all clothing fads in the 90s were better. And once again, comparing it to the 80s, so much better. Like, in the 90s, you had grunge. Grunge, I love cardigans, A. Combat boots are pretty rockin'. The only thing bad out of grunge, I'm gonna say, is probably army camo, because I'm just not an army camo person, which is really ironic since I'm playing a war video game. But I just don't like it. But grunge, besides that, is awesome. I love cardigans. I can't say that enough. I love cardigans. I just recently got into wearing them, and they're like my favorite thing in the world. And like TV, TV became awesome in the 90s. Like MTV, before, before all those reality TV shows, before Snooki took over the world, 90s MTV, awesome. Like, video killed the radio star. Yes, I'm quoting. But, just, so good. And this is coming from somebody who barely remembers it. Like, it's so nostalgic to me to just remember the 90s. Like, it's so good. And something that everybody can relate to is video games. Now, I don't care how much you love Call of Duty, and I know that the biggest demographic for Black Ops is like 13 to 17-year-olds. So if you guys have not played the original Marios, if you're some of the younger crowd out there, you have to. Like, original Super Nintendo, like Super Mario 1 through 3, 2, eh. But 3 was like my favorite. And the first one, you can't really beat the original, and that guy got totally turned on. But it's just so good. And like, all the things that I missed from the 90s, just, I cannot even put it into words. I know it is so cheesy that I'm excited about this, but really guys, I don't know if it's the me being tired and hyped up on coffee, or just the fact that the 90s were awesome. And I remember, like, I miss so many things from the 90s, like record stores. I'm a big music buff. Like, I know I said I'm not that much into punk music, but I really do listen to a whole variety of music, and record stores are something that I, as a teenager as now, really never got to see that much of. There's so little, or so few music stores left that it makes me kind of sad inside. And arcades, like, I know it's just a place to spend all your money, but well, I have an older brother, let me explain that first, and he always is talking about the time when he used to go down, like, Friday nights to an arcade and spend, like, 10 bucks and be there all night, like, fun entertainment. Who doesn't want to do that? And frankly, it's probably better for you to go to an arcade and actually be somewhat social with other nerd friends than just be locked up in your house. Like, come on, I'm not making fun of anybody here. After all, I am commentating over a Call of Duty Black Ops video, but, like, really, arcades? Who doesn't love arcades? That's right, everybody loves arcades. But anyways guys, I think that's about the end of my rant. And if you guys were totally confused by anything that I just said, look it up, because you will not be disappointed. If anybody out there is anything like me at all, just look up all these things, because you will be amazed. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, and